All right. Hello, guys. Welcome back to Final Whistle Sports. Today, we're going to be doing a QB tier list. We're going to have some different tiers that are more specific, not just elite, great, good. So let's get into it. All right. So here are the tiers. The first tier is elite, and then we have non elite franchise guy, and then we have a solid starter, and then we have a too early to tell tier, a mid tier, and a terrible tier. All right. So we can start off with the first guy there, Dak Prescott. For me personally, I feel like for most people, he'd probably be teetering in that range between solid starter and non-elite franchise guy. But for me, he is a non-elite franchise guy. What do you think?
I mean, you know how I feel about Dak. I might be biased as an Eagles fan, but I've never been too high on Dak. I think maybe he does get a worse rap than he should because of his recent years' performance and his injuries, but I can safely stick him in solid starter. As much as I want to put him in mid, I'll put him in solid starter.
Okay, so you want to put him in solid starter. I just feel like Dak's numbers, if people that wanted to give Lamar Jackson the MVP this year, I think that means that there was a very solid argument for Dak uh this year or for Dak last year, sorry. And his numbers were literally fantastic. I
I mean,
just
context matters.
What do you mean context matters?
I mean, a lot of it you could see he was putting up numbers against bad teams. A lot of it was you could argue that he
Yeah.
was stat padding, kind of like Matt, not what's his name, Matthew Stafford back in the day. He was a little bit stat padding during that season. And I think he had a lot less quality wins and quality performances than Lamar did this year.
Yeah, that's definitely fair for sure. But yeah. Okay, we can go solid starter for this one. All right, I know you're not the biggest fan of this next guy either, Jared Goff. I think this is a non-elite franchise guy.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I'm not a Jared Goff hater.
Okay,
I kind
okay,
of turn into one when he's put over Jalen Hurts in conversation, but I
yeah,
think Jared Goff does what he does well, and he doesn't make mistakes as much as he did at the beginning of the year. So
yeah,
I have no problem with him there.
yeah. I think Jared Goff is a pretty safe non-elite franchise guy. Though I do think if an upgrade is made there, I think Detroit would be even more of a threat. Now we have one of my guys, Kyler Murray. You know, it's I think he's still definitely a solid starter. Definitely not in that non-elite franchise guy tier anymore. Just because I feel like at certain points of the year, it wasn't being like too safe with the ball. There were some turnovers in his game, even though that's still one of his strengths. It's just I don't know with Kyler that a lot of the Marvin underperformance is being blamed on him, which I just don't agree with because I watched a lot of Cardinals games and Marv just didn't impress me to the level I thought that he would. Um, I'm thinking solid starter, but I love Kyler. I think he can be better with a better situation around him, but I'll let you speak a little bit.
I mean, honestly, I agree with that placement. I think to be fair, I didn't watch as much Cardinal tape down the line of the season, but I do think that there were times when Kyler was missing Marv open, at least earlier in the season, which is you could debate with because I really just didn't watch the Cardinals at all towards the end of the season. But I can agree with him being a solid starter. I have been low on Kyler in recent years. I know he has never really been a bad QB, but I've just never seen as much potential in him as some other people do.
All right, yeah. I think solid starter is fair to be honest. Next up we have JD, you know, rookie of the year, groundbreaking quarterback, took his team all the way to the conference championship game in his rookie season, which is not an easy thing to do whatsoever. And his numbers were great too. I think this is my only like second year guy that I'm putting in non-elite franchise guy. I think this year he running the ball, passing the ball, his deep ball was beautiful. He was good over the middle of the field, and he took what the defense gave him, and he played like an older player. I know he is an older player, but he played like he had been in the league. And I just think the future is incredibly bright for Jaden Daniels and Washington. I think he can go a non-elite franchise guy. I know as an Eagles fan, you're not the biggest fan of him, but I feel like he is a non-elite franchise guy already in his second year, which just speaks to how great he is. But you can go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, call me a hater, but I'm just not as high on Jaden Daniels as a lot of other people are. I'm not going to deny that he had a great year. He performed better than I especially expected. I saw a lot of issues with him pre-draft, and I think he did play well. He did put the team on his back on at times, but I think a lot of what was attributed to him was more going with the hype than what he was actually putting on tape. Not
Going
that
with
his tape
five.
wasn't good. A lot of people were what I say accentuating what he was doing a bit more, especially in the NFC Championship game. Like he straight up had a
The
terrible
NFC
performance in
Championship
that game.
game was not his fault at all. I like
I mean, I just don't see that. He just wasn't good in that game.
you
He
can't
just
pin
wasn't
that. But
productive at all.
the team was literally terrible. I would say Jaden Daniels is average at worst because the team was literally terrible. Either way, they were in a position to win and people were fumbling the ball. They fumbled on a kickoff. There was just too many mistakes from the team around him. I just don't see it like I may okay, you can
I'm
continue.
not saying at all it was his fault that they lost the game, but people say that he carried the team or that he was failed by his team. I don't think he
He
was
was
failed
failed
by
by
his
I
team
think he
when
was failed by
no, I don't
I
think
think
he was failed by his team when he didn't put up a good enough performance to say that. He averaged like 5 yards per attempt on the entire game. He was
yeah,
throwing
but
check downs. He was completing check downs, and people called him great for completing check downs. He wasn't doing much in that game.
I really think that at the end of the day, yes, you can rise above the situation, but sometimes Patrick Mahomes can't rise above the situation. I think realistically, either way, he shouldn't have been in that place in the first place. That's already a huge achievement to be in the NFC Championship game as a rookie, right? And
Yeah, no, I'm not
yeah,
discrediting that at all. I think regardless, I'm not mad at putting him in non-elite franchise guy. I'd put him somewhere in there, but I think he was overhyped a bit this year, and
yeah,
I don't see him replicating this next season. But we'll
I
see.
definitely I do. I think if they can just improve through the draft, this is a decent draft for skill position players in my opinion, especially running backs, tight ends. Zach Ertz is getting older. I think this team can take an even bigger stride. So yeah, I think not only franchise guys is the place for him. Malik Willis, we're not going to rank. CJ Stroud. I think CJ Stroud is the biggest teeterer for me between solid starter and non elite franchise guy. He definitely had his sophomore slump this year. I was not a fan of some of the tape he was putting out, but that offensive line was terrible, especially the interior. Yeah, so I don't know. Definitely after last year, everyone was gonna say he's a non elite franchise guy, but I think he might have regressed to the mean a little bit. And that's just me personally. Obviously, he showed great stuff in the playoffs against the Chargers. I felt like they were going to be dead in the water until he had that crazy completion where he rolled out of the pocket, made the play out of structure, which shows that I feel like this season, even though the passing was regressed, I think he had a lot more athletic traits and was able to create out of structure a lot more due to the situation around him. So yeah, I think he's the biggest teeterer. Maybe you can go ahead and speak, try and sway me one way or the other.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what you said with him creating more this year was just because he was forced to. I
Yeah,
mean, his old offensive line was genuinely terrible, arguably worse than the league. I'd say really only the Bears might have been worse than them.
yeah,
But
Kenny Green was so bad.
I think the Eagles can improve him, but it's not a topic for today.
Eagles can
But
improve everybody.
uh, yeah, I think honestly, I would have put him in that elite conversation. I have maybe
Wait,
5 to 7
what?
elite QBs
Non-elite?
after his rookie season.
No,
After his
you
rookie
put him in
season.
the non-elite, right?
No, I was thinking of putting him in the elite after his rookie season,
Wow.
like teetering on that. And I don't think that was a crazy take. I see a lot of people putting him in their top fives after his rookie year, and I mean he performed to that level. I still want to keep him high up there because of his rookie year. I think he can get back to that, especially with the improvements that they're looking to make on their O line. With Tank Dell being out, you can say that's an issue, but I see potential in the Texans as a team overall. I love their defense. And I just think with some slight tweaks, CJ Stroud could be back to the player that he was. So if we're projecting onto next season, I'm going to put him in non-elite. But from his performance this year, I'll say solid starter.
I think I want to go with non-elite too. For in the Chargers game, he really showed me some resiliency that I really liked. He could be right here, but we're gonna go with non-elite franchise guy for CJ Stroud. Joe Burrow. Oh, not Derek
No
Carr.
argument. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, there's four guys in that category, and there will be four guys for the foreseeable future. We'll see if that changes this year. But I just think it's the four. We'll get to the rest of them later. But yeah, Joe Burrow, yeah, on a team like they were the most explosive offense in the NFL this year. He put up like 4,900 yards on 70% completion percentage. I mean, in my opinion, he's just insane. He's different, bro. If you want to speak on Joe, you can go ahead.
I mean, I don't have much to say. Him and the offense carried the team, and Trey Hendrickson, I guess. But really, there's just not much to say. He's one of them guys, and yeah,
Yeah,
he's up there.
yeah. I think yeah, he's Joe Burrow, man. What else can we say? Yeah, Derek Carr. I think I have him right here, mid.
Yeah, I don't think it's. I mean, some people want to put him in terrible.
I
I've
don't
been a
think.
Derek Carr fan for a while. I haven't been a Derek Carr fan recently, but like Raiders Derek Carr was fun to watch in my opinion in his prime. But I just can't. I can't see him any higher than this. I don't really want to put him any lower either. So I think mid
Yeah,
is just right.
some Saints fans really think he's the devil, and I just think that's unwarranted. I think you literally can't ignore like the full body of work you put on the season. I know down the stretch it was a lot worse, but at some points down the stretch it was just average, and he was dealing with injuries throughout after that like 4 week stretch where they were the best team in the league. So, you know, I don't think he's that bad. I think mid is a solid placement for him. Now, next up we have Mr. Hypothetical,
Polarizing one.
the most divisive quarterback, the most divisive possibly player in the NFL,
Potential
Mr.
man.
J Mr. J Herbo, my guy. I
Mega
think he,
Fushiguro in real life.
huh? I think he is lock for the second tier. Even with the playoff game, some of the interceptions were weird. Some of them were drops. I don't think, you know, I don't think that was really completely his fault. But that was not a good showing. I'm not gonna try and defend him and say that was a good showing, but Justin Herbert with the team that he had on the field this year, I think he was excellent. And the situation just wasn't that great. They were able to run the football well. They had a good defense, but pass catching wise, I mean, people love to hate on Quentin Johnson. Quentin Johnson might have had like 800 yards this year, which is insane. We had the Will Disley stretches. Like Justin Herbert was making his teammates better throughout this whole season. Obviously, we had the emergence of Lad McConkey as a reliable player. But yeah, I think he elevated the situation around him. And yeah, I think
Oh, what do you mean by the situation though? Because I feel like a lot of people used to talk about how terrible his defense was, how terrible the coaching was, which is understandable. But I think this year it's the best team he's had around him in his career. I'm not going to say the pass catches were amazing, but he had a very solid WR1, and he had
that's
a
it.
great defense and good coaching, good scheming on the year. I don't think he had a bad
I
team
don't know
around him.
about good scheming. I think the scheming was fine. I don't think the scheme was great, and the offensive situation just wasn't good. I don't know how we're saying that Lad McConkey being your only good offensive weapon when you have debatably a top five quarterback in the NFL is acceptable. That's
Debatably.
what do you mean debatably? I said yeah, debatably.
Yeah, I mean, just that's the
If
key
you look,
word.
if we want to count top seven, right? We have Burrow, Mahomes, Herbert for me. We can go Burrow, Mahomes, Herbert, Hurts, Josh Allen.
Lamar.
All huh?
Lamar.
Lamar, yeah. I'm just we know the guys. If you want to count Hurts, whatever. These people, with the exception of like guys that are runners, I don't. You're not gonna put Joe Burrow in this. Joe Burrow, in my opinion, Chase Brown is a good offensive weapon. Joe Burrow has three. I just feel like, yeah, okay. I think that his situation was not that great, and I think Lab McConkey,
Well, you better
while
say if.
huh,
Well,
if
you better say if.
no, I was not. I was not about to say if. Lab McConkey being your only offensive weapon is not great.
All right.
Yeah. I just think that's a fact. But yeah, I still think he's a lock for this tier. I don't really see him ever really being here. But yeah, if you have anything to say about your least favorite quarterback ever, you can go ahead.
I mean, I'm a Justin Herbert hater. We know this, but it's just I'm not mad at him being there. I'm mad at the discussion around him.
Yeah, we can put Jalen Hurts in that situation and see what happens.
If
I didn't say if in my sentence.
that's hypothetical.
Huh? It's
That's
not a
hypothetical.
hypothetical. But we can put Jalen Hurts in that situation and see what happens. Next up, Anthony Richardson.
This
Anthony
man's terrible.
Richardson. Okay. Terrible.
Yes,
Okay. That I
he genuinely cannot read a field, bro. He chucks deep balls.
yeah, but there's a lot of talent there. Apparently he's according to a lot of people, he's having the best off season in the NFL. What is he? He's in his third year, right?
Yeah,
He's going to his third year. Josh Allen had his jump in the third year.
but who are they adding to get him that?
Tyler Warren, Colston Loveland.
They couldn't draft Tyler Warren. That's fair, but I I don't see as much. I mean, obviously he has the physical gifts. I just when a QB has what did he have the lowest completion percentage of all time or one
Yeah,
of?
but generally Josh Allen couldn't read a field either.
He wasn't as bad as Anthony Richardson was though.
Yeah, the team wasn't as bad as Anthony Richardson's, but I mean, okay, if you really want to put him in terrible, I feel
I
like,
mean, AR's been given fine weapons. Like I don't.
yeah. But like this year, it was worse than before. Michael Pittman, he wasn't really on much.
I mean,
Josh Allen,
he actively made Michael Pittman worse.
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Okay, for me, for sure, I'm going here just to give him one more chance. This is his last time being here. Are you sure you're going terrible?
I mean, we can put him there. I think he's had enough time to not be in too early to tell. But
But
we'll put
no,
him in
like
too early. We'll
actually,
put him in
like
too early to
he's
tell.
had enough time to you, but let me look up real quick. Anthony Richardson has played. Anthony Richardson has played 15 career games.
We can put him in too early to tell. I don't. I just don't see the room
15
for
career
improvement on
games
him.
is crazy.
We can put him there.
15 career games. I think that's fair to give him a bit more time. Trevor Lawrence, yeah, his time being here is up. His time being here is up for me. His time being here is up for me. I'm
His time
going
in solid starters up for you.
for me, yeah. I
I don't.
literally
It's obviously he's had enough time to be out of too early to tell. But with the amount of injury this year, I don't think he was horrendous outside of. He wasn't good, but I wouldn't say he was horrendous outside of his injury. I mean,
no.
that's one guy I see the potential in. I've seen the potential in from the start.
Last year was not great either. And like last year was not great. 14 interceptions last year, like I'm not loving that. 21-14 is not great. This year was 11-7. He did play 10 games, but in those 10 games, if you watch like watching the tape, maybe box score wise he's not horrendous, but in my
I mean, no, I
opinion,
was watching. I was a big Jags guy. I'm a big
yeah,
T-Law guy. I didn't hate what I saw in film. Like I wouldn't say he was great or good even, but he
good,
was.
not good.
mm,
Solid.
I'm
I
not mad at putting him solid starter. Like I guess mid's not an evil word. Solid start. How many people are we trying to put in solid starter? Are we
more
trying to put the
solid
top 15? Are we trying to put the top 12? Like
plus starters. I'd say
plus.
plus starters.
Then
That
I'm not mad at putting him in the mid, but I still I guess he's been in the league too long to put him in too early to tell. But with the situations he's been around, I would want to put him there, but I see putting him in mid.
Yeah, because Trevor Lawrence he got drafted in
21.
2021.
Yeah.
That's 4 years of football. I think mid for Trevor Lawrence is fair. He needs to step up his game because he's supposed to be here.
And keep in mind, he is the same age as Jaden Daniels, so
He's supposed to be here.
he still has the age going for him, though.
He's supposed to be here. In my opinion, that's what I was expecting, and it's just
I mean,
not
that's what
been
everyone
that.
was expecting. Everyone was expecting Andrew Luck.
Yeah, I know, but even in his best year, like he was good. Don't get me wrong, he was great down the stretch, but it was not what we were expecting. Will Levis terrible. He's not going to be starting on an NFL team next year, but we're going off of ESPN depth charts, so we're going to rank him. He's terrible. He will not be starting on an NFL roster next year. Caleb Williams, pretty
I
easy.
think, easily too early to tell.
Pretty easily. He's a second-year player. We're going there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love what I saw from him.
Yeah, I love what I saw from him. Sometimes I think he was a little bit too careful with the football. That non-turnover stretch, he was definitely no turnover stretch. He was definitely missing some opportunities downfield. But once again, offensive line is terrible. Receivers were quitting on him at points. Keenan Allen is old. DeAndre Swift isn't actually good.
Scheme was horrendous.
Scheme was horrendous. Oh my goodness, that was one of the craziest stories to come out of the NFL this year. That guy was just that stubborn. I don't know why he's not listening, but that was insane. But yeah,
What they said, they had him in the most complex offense out
most
there.
And every consultant in the building was telling him switch it, and he wouldn't switch it. So I just think that was ridiculous. But yeah, for sure, Poles has been going crazy. They're the winners of the offseason so far. So yeah, I think Caleb Williams could be in for a big year this upcoming year. You have anything you want to say about Caleb?
No, I've said all I need to say.
All right, Sam Darnold. I think this is a lock for right here. What do you think? Solid
Yeah,
start.
I mean, I think he just performed too well this year to be put in mid. Uh, I forget. He's with the Seahawks now, right?
Seahawks. Yes, yes, yes.
I just, I don't know. I don't see much potential in that team. I don't know if he can replicate what he did this year. I don't see him replicating that, but just yeah, he's a solid starter. He's definitely outperformed his expectations, but he was a guy that you could say was carried by his team.
Yeah, you could say that, but I think if they can like just get that interior off, a lot of people would be better than who they had an interior offensive line last year. That was one of the, no, that was the worst, like some of the worst offensive line performances I watched in the NFL this year. I think if you can put some solid weapons in front of him, JSN and Cooper Cup, it's a little redundant, but it's not something to scoff at, you know? I mean, Cooper Cup still put up like 700 yards in an injury riddled year, played like 13 games. So you can't scoff at that. It is redundant, but I mean, you put a better offensive line in front of that team, a better offensive line in front of Zach Charbonnet and K9. I think that's not like terrible, you know? And this is a good draft. They have draft picks and there's still free agency left. So yeah, I think solid starters is a good placement for him.
That's fair.
Yeah,
Do we
Daniel,
want to rank Daniel Jones? I
no,
don't.
he's not a starter.
Yeah,
Jalen Hurts here.
I mean we're gonna differ on this.
You have him in you.
If I'm putting five, you said I'm putting five guys in the elite category. He's in my
Elite
top
is
five.
four to me. I think there's just an elite tier in the NFL. It's not a top five thing like the rest of the sports. We know the quarterbacks. Maybe not you Eagles fans, but to me it's four. It's the four of them.
All right, then put him. I put him at the top of non-elite if we're going for an elite.
Top of non-elite. Okay, so you want to order the tiers.
Oh, actually, yeah, we haven't been ordering them. Just put him in there. But
All right. Yeah, you can speak on Jalen Hurts. That's your guy.
I mean, just let it be known he's top five. He's one of the most efficient passers in the league. People want to say he's carried. It's just I don't see the argument for him. When he's given the opportunity, he does what he needs to do with the opportunity. He's a Super Bowl MVP. He performs when he's asked to perform, and he's efficient when we run the ball a lot. I don't see the argument for him being lower.
Yeah, I mean, it's a game of hypotheticals. He's not going to be on a different team. He's probably going to be on the Eagles for the rest of his prime. So, you know, us slight doubters, we can't hate because he's not going to leave the situation. The situation is not going to change for the foreseeable future. So, he's doing what he needs to do in the situation. He won the Super Bowl. It's the ultimate prize. So while I don't think he's top five, you can't dispute the claim, but at the same time, you can't get on him for being carried by the situation because he does what he needs to do. Yeah. Even though Trent Dilfer did what he needed to do.
Not at the same
Anyway,
level. That's just not true.
moving on.
It's
Anyway,
not true. You
moving
know that's
on.
not true.
Anyway, moving on. We got Matthew Stafford. I think this is another guy that goes here.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, and the thing about the Rams, man, the Rams get hot down the stretch at the end of every year, and Matthew Stafford and Puka just can't be stopped. You know, I really love watching the Rams because Sean McVay is probably my favorite coach in NFL history. Just the way
it
he
makes football
doesn't,
beautiful.
yeah, he just doesn't care. He isolates his best players. The way he just motions Puka around, he's literally focused on getting Puka the ball. He does not get distracted. He mixes Kyron in there. I just think they're a really dynamic team to watch. I think Matthew Stafford is at the forefront of that. Matthew Stafford is not afraid to take chances. He's a gunslinger. I just love watching Matthew Stafford. But yeah,
I mean, yeah, he's the definition of a veteran. He knows what he needs to do. He knows what he wants to do. He's decisive with the ball. He doesn't do anything wrong necessarily. He doesn't like protect the ball too much. He's a good guy to watch.
yeah.
He's a good player.
Oh, what did I just do? Oops. All
What
right,
did
all
he?
right, all
Yeah,
right.
there we go.
I just wanted to do something real quick. You know,
Who are you adding this for? We don't need a tier for this time, right? What are we putting? All right.
all right. Next player, Brock
Ooh.
Purdy.
I'm gonna let you go on this one. I want to see where you put him.
You know, I really think Brock Purdy's overhated. And yes, down the stretch this year, it was a little bit worse. Once again, situation around him crumbling. You know, Ayuk before he got hurt wasn't on anything this year. Debo, that's Tubby, wasn't on anything this year. CMC wasn't on anything this year. Jordan Mason even tailed off a little bit. Isaac Garendo. Isaac
That's
Garendo's
not
him.
good, man. Oh
Isaac
my
Garendo.
goodness,
But of course,
that was our
George
guy pre-draft.
George Kittle, George Kittle was fantastic again this year. But once again, similar to CJ Stroud. And to be honest, I was not happy with the coaching from Kyle Shanahan this year. I thought the protections were weird at times, and it wasn't setting up Brock Purdy to fail, but it was almost setting him up to fail. But he did do a better job of creating out of structure again this year. They did just or they paid him. So yeah, I think he's a solid starter guy. I think that's a fair placement for him. What do you think?
I mean, I don't have much to say about him. I was more down on him in previous years. I didn't really have as much of a problem with this game this year, seeing the adversity he was going through.
Yeah,
You can't at all say he was carried this year. I mean, he was they were injury riddled. They just weren't really a good team overall in general. Um, but yeah, he's a solid starter. He's proven that he can be a guy you can look to, a guy that will perform for you decently well no matter what situation you put him in. And
yeah,
so I think you, calling him whatever we call him last year, it just doesn't really make sense anymore.
yeah. Geno Smith to me is another plus starter in the NFL. I think this Raiders team, if they can grab Genti in the draft, they can fill out more holes. They just paid Max. Jacoby Myers, Brock Bowers, Ashton Genti. I think that's that's pretty good to me. I don't know what you think, but I think that's pretty solid to be honest. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I was a fan of this year's Raiders team. Just watching them, I like their weapons. I think Jacoby Myers is. I mean, a lot of people say this, so maybe he's not as underrated anymore, but he's
yeah,
very underrated. But like, I don't know how I feel about Gino. Honestly, he's become one of the most prolific passers in the league over these past couple of years since he's been starting, and so he'll put up big numbers, but he puts up big pass attempt numbers as well. So I'm not saying he's.
yeah. But
I guess I wouldn't put him in mid, but he's like
he's a seventy
he's
percent guy though. So
he doesn't impress me when I watch him. Is what I'm trying to say. Like his numbers are big, but I wouldn't say he's all that efficient with the ball in his hands, and he's accurate and he does what he needs to do. I can't really describe my feelings on him, but yeah, I'm fine with putting him in solid starter.
yeah, and especially like this year, the offensive line was so
Horrendous.
terrible.
Yeah,
I think down the year he got a little bit more frantic with the ball, and that's when you saw more turnovers because there was times like as soon as the three tech like got any type of leverage on the guard, he would just let it go. If he had more trust, you even see it with Mahomes, less trust in the offensive line, people start to get more frantic. So I think, yeah,
just a turnstile in the middle.
yeah. Um, Next up, Kirk Cousins.
Are
Um,
we
I,
gonna rank him? I don't. He's not
Kirk
gonna be a starter
Cousins,
this year. I don't think.
you don't think so? I think if Cleveland doesn't take a quarterback, I think that's a guy they could go to be honest.
That's a big if though. I don't know.
Yeah, but he's okay. We don't have to rank him then, but I would put him.
I do want to let it be known that I love Kirk. He's been one of my favorite QBs
Yeah,
forever.
me
It's
too.
disappointing to see what's happened.
Yeah, but I would put him right here if we were ranking him.
Yeah,
Baker Mayfield. I think this is another teeterer for some people, but for me,
really.
he's here. Yeah,
Yeah, I think he's very solidly in not non-elite guys, but
yeah. I think you can go ahead and speak on him.
I mean, I've never been a Baker doubter. I've been a Baker fan since he's been in college, since OU, and since a Brown. I mean, he carried the Browns. He won a playoff game with the Cleveland Browns, which is not talked about enough. It's like,
He didn't carry them, but yeah,
I mean, at
it
times,
was just good overall team performance in my opinion. But yeah,
but him playing through injury and being criticized for that really just it eked me the wrong way. I used to hate the discussion around him, and I love seeing him come back. I loved seeing his Rams come back, and I mean, I don't know. I've just been a big fan of Baker for a long time. He was great this year, in my opinion. There was a
yeah,
time where you could argue he was top five in the league. He was very prolific to start the season. Throughout the season, I mean, he's a gunslinger. He's exciting to watch. He makes big plays, and even when Chris Godwin went down, even when he was missing his big guys, he was still looking good out there. And I mean, I like seeing him in there. I think he's pretty solidly maybe top seven, for sure top 10 in my opinion. Maybe top seven.
nah, top seven is crazy to me. Yeah. Next up, we got my guy, man, Jay Fields, bro. And we are not putting him in terrible. That's for sure. I'm not allowing him to be put in terrible. So,
I
you know,
mean, I think
one
he's just
person,
too early
one,
to tell.
huh?
I put
No,
him in too early to tell. I mean, I get he's been his
he's
starter for
Trevor.
a
He's
while, but we
Trevor's
didn't see
year.
him at all this year.
What do you be? What?
Passing the ball. He was brought in a two QB system. I mean, outside of the first couple weeks.
Yeah, it was like 5 or 6 games. So
Was it 5 games? Maybe I'm misremembering.
yeah,
I thought
yeah.
it was like 3.
No, no, no. He played. Let's confirm right here. Justin Fields. He played. Okay, he appeared and he started 6 games.
Started 6 games. Okay, that's my fault.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was not bad in those six
He's
games.
not bad at all, and he game managed effectively. And I think
Yeah.
that's in that kind of offense. The Steelers' offense, genuinely, I feel like it will be limited for a very long time.
Mhm.
And so to game manage effectively in that system, I think that's good. And he offered a bit of dynamism to the offense. A lot of Steelers fans to this day still say that um Justin Fields was better than Russell. So yeah.
Which okay, I'm remembering now. As much as Justin Fields wasn't bad at all and he game managed fine, I do remember that he was a little bit too. It felt like he was too hesitant when he was playing, which I get there's not much there in the Steelers system, but it didn't continue down the line. But I remember it distinctly as soon as Russ coming back, he was more willing to take risks, and that led to the offense being a bit more explosive. And I don't think that carried really down the season as we saw, but I wasn't a huge fan of what Justin Fields did, but I'd put him in mid. Yeah,
Yeah, I think he did enough to be a mid. All right.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah, Josh.
I really do. I've grown to hate Josh Allen. I'm not gonna lie, more because of the fans than anything. But he's an elite guy.
Yeah. Jacoby Brissett, not even lying.
He's fucking
He's so
the
trash.
terrorist.
I hate him, bro. I hate him. I was literally begging for Drake May. I did not care about the situation. Watching the Patriots with Ramondre Stevenson on my fantasy team, I literally couldn't believe what I was seeing from Jacoby Brissett. This year was some of the worst quarterback play I've seen in a while. But yeah, next up we have Tua. Tua, I think, goes in solid starter. I think Tua gets too much of a bad rap. Even if you don't like him, I don't know why people don't really like him, to be honest. I guess it's just because he's never going to be elite, really. But Tua is efficient and he's gone through a lot in his career. And to bounce back from adversity as many times as he has, I'm not the biggest Tua fan, but to bounce back from adversity as many times as he has is pretty remarkable, in my opinion. So,
I agree. I'm just noticing we're like filling out the top tiers a lot, and there's a lot of guys to come, but like
yeah, there's a lot of
we
guys.
already we do have like 16 guys in the because you said star stars are supposed to be plus starters, correct?
Yeah, I guess it's supposed to be top 15 guys. So you want to put Tua in mid?
Ugh, I don't know if Tua would be the guy out of there. If I were to pick someone out of there, it would probably be Dak.
Wow.
But
You would put Dak in mid
no,
after.
sorry, Sam Darnold. Honestly,
Oh,
Sam Darnold or Brock Purdy. But yeah, Dak's
I
not the
mean,
first one.
we're gonna have a
I'm
lot of
speaking out
guys.
of hate.
We're gonna have a
But
lot of guys filling out the bottom more tiers.
yeah, we'll see as the list goes on. But I'm fine
Yeah,
with putting
we
Tua in
can
solid
readjust
starter.
at the end for sure, but we can put Tua in
Yeah.
solid starter for now. Aaron Rodgers, this is a mid for me for sure.
Yeah, I think he received too much hate because people wanted to call him washed this year.
Uh,
But tape wise, he wasn't great. Statistically, he was all right. I just think he was just fine. I mean, he was disappointed because of the like the excitement that Jets fans had maybe 2 years ago and the expectations he had. But I don't think he was really terrible or as terrible as people want to
he
describe
was
him as after
terrible in
years.
some games though, like games that mattered. Once they were out of it completely, like once they had fallen into the top 10 of the draft, like he was putting up some decent number games, but that Steelers game, like there was just some interesting moments that were just not good from Aaron Rodgers. Things that we don't expect from Aaron Rodgers, because one thing I didn't expect with Aaron Rodgers, like to as he aged, was his processing to worsen, or his ability to be more turnover prone to increase, and that definitely happened this year. So yeah.
Yeah.
Bo Nix for me is definitely too early to tell. I am more of the opinion that Bo Nix is just not that good, in my opinion. I think he does what he needs to do at times. Sometimes he does not do what he needs to do. and sometimes he's not great. And Bo Nix also just doesn't push the ball down the field like that. But that could also be, I know he had the really deep touchdowns to Marvin Mims, but in the whole game, and that could also be a product of his offense. His offensive situation is not the greatest. The run game was not good at all, and you really have Cortland Sutton out there, and Marvin Mims and Troy Franklin were complete wild cards. But yeah, the situation around him was not great. A lot of people thought they reached on a pick at 12 and they got their guy and they made the playoffs in his rookie year. So you can't really hate on that. So I'm going to put him in too early to tell for now. But yeah, you can
Yeah,
go.
and I think most of these rookie guys, really all these rookie guys except for Jaden Daniels, are going to end up there. But I
Yeah.
honestly really like what I saw from Bo Nix this year, even though I wouldn't say he was impressive, even just for him to be a starter and be not bad was impressive for me with the pre-draft talk that I heard about him. I was a fan of him coming out of Oregon, even though he didn't show what a lot of people like to see out of a pro-ready QB going into the year. But even if you want to call him a check down merchant or not really
Not
carry
great.
Dice team, but just like
Scott Gray.
like a meh player. I still think that him being a solid starter, even if he's in too early to tell, him being a good enough starter to bring his team to the playoff, especially when the team is the Denver Broncos, which
Yeah.
haven't sniffed the playoffs in forever. I like what I saw from him this year, and I see potential in him.
Yeah. Plays the game the right way,
Smart player, not that athletic.
Yeah. He has a decent bit of athleticism though.
And we
And,
saw him on Breadbasket recently. I'm a
yeah.
big Breadbasket fan on TikTok.
Okay. All right. Mahomes and Lamar, we know what these guys are. Hopefully the situation around Mahomes can improve this year. I'm not sure. I doubt the Ravens will take a receiver. But yeah.
Putting Mahomes there after that Super Bowl performance.
Like, no one cares.
Okay, but you can admit he didn't have an elite season this year.
Oh, of course not.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't really care.
Do you think your opinion on him can change?
No. He's literally too clutch.
You don't think if he has the exact same season next year, your opinion on him could change?
He lost one game, bro. And it was because of him. I don't think you understand. We were giving Kareem Hunt 20 plus carries a game. That's insane. I think
he was doing bad with those carries.
He was doing bad. He was doing below average. I'll just give him below average. He didn't have a rush above. He literally just moved the ball. He didn't have a rush above like 8 yards for like a bunch of weeks. He just moved. That's what Kareem Hunt did this year. Just moved.
I mean, I'm not going to say the situation was great this year. It definitely hasn't been as good as
offensive line was terrible,
years, but not throughout the whole season.
Oh, Kingsley, did you watch Kingsley Sumatire, bro?
Yeah, but it wasn't throughout the. I don't think you could blame the O line for his. I'm not gonna say lack of performance because he was still good throughout the year, but he
was still great throughout the year.
Performance. I wouldn't say great, but I don't know.
Great.
He definitely wasn't great to start the year.
He was great.
All right.
He had a great season. He lost one game. And a lot of those games were won because of him down the stretch on the last drive of the game.
And refs. You can admit that some of those games there was questionable refereeing. Even if you want to say I know you want to say it's overplayed, which it is, but there were some questionable games.
Yeah, there were. I'm not going to dismiss that, but there are questionable games for a lot of quarterbacks. I mean,
not as consistent.
Not as consistently, I guess, maybe. But I mean, yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, here's a guy you like, Bryce Young.
Oh yeah, Lamar. Lamar is Lamar. We know Lamar. Lamar put up 4,000 yards for the first time in his career, and this was, in my opinion, the most enjoyable year of football I've watched from a player since I'm saying quarterbacks. 2018 Mahomes. I think he was that good. Just in terms of watching someone, the basketball.
2022 Jalen Hurts.
I'm talking about like entertainment, not like good.
You don't think he was entertaining?
Not as entertaining as 2018 Mahomes. What?
Mm.
Can you stop it? Can you actually think 2018 Mahomes was more entertaining than Jalen Hurts in 22?
I don't think it's a big gap.
What? Are you being for real or are you like trolling?
I'm not trolling at all. He was the second best QB and he was the most entertaining QB in the league that year.
In the league that year, Mahomes is the most like maybe the most entertaining QB of like I don't know
like
how
the
you
past
could.
5 years. But
I think you need to watch the highlights again. That's an insane take.
I don't
That's
think it is. But we can keep
that's
going.
an insane take. I literally cannot move on from that. You actually think Jalen Hurts is more entertaining than 2018
I
Mahomes?
didn't say more entertaining. I said it wasn't a big gap.
But how?
It's just not. Jalen Hurts was making plays. Like I don't know. I don't know what I
Mahomes had
mean.
5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns.
Yeah, you said not statistically good and
Yeah,
entertaining
but
are the
look
same
at the
thing.
way he was getting. He was
I
literally
know.
rolling.
I'm not
Roll,
downplaying
wait.
Mahomes
He
at
was
all.
rolling right, throwing left, 50 yards downfield. He scored 56 points in like, bro. Okay,
I'm
whatever.
aware. I watched the games, but
Yes.
okay,
Okay.
we can keep going.
Lamar Jackson. Yeah, Lamar Jackson is Lamar Jackson. Most entertaining player since 2018 Mahomes. Um, huh? Bryce Young. Definitely here. Bryce Young, it was a very positive surprise. As a guy, I used to make a joke. Bryce Young is the best college quarterback I've ever watched, you know, because he was just magic at Bama, the little guy in the pocket just standing in there delivering dimes. Even in that second year, genuinely is one of the worst Bama teams I've ever seen. Just the team around him, the skill positions were kind of weird. Um, Jameer was obviously, he was good, but he was misused. That team was really weird, and I loved him so much. And then that first year in the NFL was so bad. Everything looked terrible. And then the first couple weeks of this year, once again, terrible. And then he came back, Rod Wave whispered something into his ear. You know what I'm saying?
Threatened to drop an album.
So, okay. Respect Rod Wave slightly. Um, yeah. But yeah, it was really great to see. He almost beat the Chiefs. Xavier Leggett, got to apologize to him again and again. Sorry, that was the Eagles. Yeah, he almost beat the Eagles and look at that, bro.
You
Almost
don't
beat.
need to apologize to Xavier Leggett for the Eagles game
What do you mean?
because he dropped the ball that led to them
I
losing.
said Xavier Leggett needs to apologize to Rob.
Oh, I think you said need to
Yeah,
give
yeah,
an
yeah.
apology to Xavier
No,
Leggett.
you're good. You're good. I said Xavier Leggett needs to apologize again and again. Yeah, but yeah. I was very pleasantly surprised with Bryce Young. You can go ahead.
Yeah, I mean he's gotten better for sure. You could just see the improvement on tape. His numbers weren't anything crazy,
Yeah,
even for his standards. But just watching the games, you could just see how he felt more confident. He felt like he could stand in the pocket more and deliver. He looked like Alabama Bryce Young at times. And
yeah,
even pre-draft, I wasn't really a big fan of Bryce Young. Honestly, I didn't see the hype of him over C.J. Stroud. I saw the pocket presence. I just didn't see what other people saw as much. And so I felt like I was right for a while. But I think we could see if the team, I don't know, it might take a while. It might take more than
yeah.
a year. But if the team can get to a position, he can. Okay, let's chill. But he can become a solid starter.
Hey, bro. A new mock draft next week. If I can get that eighth pick Panthers, bro, we're going offense, man. We're going offense. We got
That's
now Panthers. I'm here,
they still
Panthers.
had a terrible defense too.
I'm here, Panthers fans. You know what I'm saying? We got Rico now. We got Chuba still. You know what I'm saying? That's a good running back duo. We're here.
Hey, don't forget about that receiver,
Ooh, Jalen Coker.
of course.
Great
The
guy.
goat.
Great guy. Great guy. Even, bro, they just have so many guys I like. Like, I literally, David Moore. David Moore is nice, bro. I don't care. I love that team so much. None of these guys are getting ranked for sure. Jordan Love, he's here for me. We both love Jordan Love.
I do love Jordan Love.
Gotta love Jordan Love, man.
I don't know though. I really don't
No,
know.
no, no,
Like,
no, 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 no,
you
no.
could definitely see the argument for solid starter though. Like,
I'm not
I,
hearing it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not
bro,
hearing
as much as I do like him, like I genuinely do love Jordan Love, but
I'm not hearing it, bro. Because, but like,
I don't see him
first
perform
of all,
consistently enough to I don't know.
okay, but look at his numbers though, and also as much as we love the Packers wide receivers, Dontavion Wicks cannot catch the ball.
Drop. What do they call him? Drop Tavion Bricks.
Drop Tavion Bricks. He's good, but he's not good. He's got
And
to
like,
catch.
which I think who's I don't remember who said it, but they really do just have a bunch of WR2s. Which a
Yeah,
player in their organization saying that is crazy. But the
yeah,
receiver core, as much as it's fun for them to be there, it's just not impressive in any way.
yeah. Jaden Reed is not the guy that we were hoping to him to be after the first game, and so yeah, I just think you got to get a guy in there. They might go edge in the first round. The Packers are unpredictable though with their drafting. All those years they never took what's it called, a wide receiver in the first round for Aaron Rodgers. Hopefully, they can listen to Josh Jacobs a bit. If Matthew Golden is there, if Luther's there, you take a shot because yeah, I think Jordan Love, if they could get a wide receiver in there, I think that could be a big move for them. Next guy on the list is Drake May.
I mean, of course, that's just another rookie QB. You're gonna put him in too early to tell, or we could put him in the lead. Honestly,
He
I mean,
deserves
he's
it,
just a
bro.
guy. He's just a dude.
Yeah, guy's
He's a
guy,
dude.
man.
He's a ball player.
He's a ball player. Watching Drake May play football for the New England Patriots is an experience, man. At times he can be a little bit too like turnover prone, but I think, at some point maybe he just realized, let me just play ball, and that's what he did. He played ball.
I mean, he's exactly who we expected him to be. He's an explosive guy. You're not gonna blame him for making mistakes because that's what you want him to do. You
Yeah.
want him to be a Josh Allen. You want him to be a guy where,
But
you're gonna give me
was
a 70
he
bum. You're
looked
gonna give
much
me the worst pick I've ever seen. But
he looks he
who
looks
cares
much
at the end of the
he
day?
looks much better than Josh Allen's rookie year, though,
Of course.
in a worse team. So yeah. But yeah, just even the explosive runs, like watching Drake May play for that Patriots team, the ball placement, and those receivers, we like Pop Douglas over here, but they just weren't very good. You've got Hunter Henry and
Yeah,
everyone
I'm a
else.
Liberty fan.
We've got Kayshawn Booty. I mean,
He's actually booty though. Like I hate him so much.
Anyway, yes, Drake May, is Drake May. And Drake May will be here by the end of next year. But we don't have to talk about that right now. Bengals, I'll never forgive you. T. Higgins was supposed to be Drake May's. Or Justin Herbert's, but they decided to bring him back. Next guy, are we gonna rank Jameis? I don't think
No,
Jameis will
of
have a
course
starting
not.
job in the league next year. I think Russ will though. Russ is also in this tier right here.
Yeah, I could see him be a solid starter. He just
I
wasn't
don't think
consistent
so.
last year. He had his moments for sure though. He had his times where I saw a Russ that I liked seeing, or not necessarily a prime Russ, but an aging Russ. A more sit in the pocket type Russ, but still find guys open.
Yeah, but there are
But he
times
just
where he also just bad pocket presence at times, holding the ball too long, and sometimes his ball placement was just off, in my opinion. I don't know, but yeah, he wasn't terrible for sure, but
yeah.
yeah. Next up, we have to rank Mason Rudolph because he is the starter for the Steelers, and Mike Tomlin over 500, whatever. If I would not be okay if I was a Steelers fan.
He's the
If we
greatest
had
underachiever of all time.
who?
Mike Tomlin.
I mean, you can't really say that though,
Why not?
because he went 8-8 with Mason Rudolph. That's why you can't say it.
He's just still an underachiever. Like every time he's
Yeah,
built
the
a good
playoff
team or given a
perspective is
good team
there.
or they have potential, it's just not. It's
I
not
just
fulfilled.
I just don't think Art Rooney will ever fire him. That's the realist. That's wow.
Yeah.
That's the reality of the situation. But yeah, if the Steelers go into 2025 with Mason Rudolph as your starting quarterback, yeah, I just with DK Metcalf and George Pickens on the outside, my guy Roman Wilson, hopefully in the slot, you know, it's just not acceptable to me if I was a Steelers fan. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I don't see how you don't make a move on one of those big guys in free agency. You saw even the Raiders. No one saw it. I don't think anyone predicted Geno moving at all. But you saw the Raiders going out of their way to make a Geno pick. I just don't know how, as the Steelers organization, you can just let that pass. I don't know. I doubt they see enough in Jackson Dart to really want him as their day one starter. To really pass up on guys that have proven at least something in the league.
I
So
definitely I don't really like I just don't think I think it's actually maybe even probable that Aaron Rodgers gets signed to the Steelers and they take Jackson Dart. I just don't think that's super improbable. I definitely think Jackson Dart is a high second rounder at the very least. So, and it's not even because of my assessment of him. I mean, I like him, but I don't really think he's a first round guy, even in this class. But yeah, I just think with the buzz that's been going around, I think it's gone too far for it to be a smokescreen at this point. It's not a specific team or anything. It's everyone in the league is seeing something in Jackson Dart. So I definitely think Jackson Dart, even though in our last mock draft we had a bit of a Shadur fall to the Steelers, I doubt that happens. Me personally, I think Shadur goes too. And I think Jackson Dart would be the spot there, and then they sign a veteran guy because I don't think, like you said, I don't think Jackson Dart is a day one starter probably as of uh, as of now. So yeah. But is there any adjustments you'd like to make to the list? I know you made a good point. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
6, 7.
Okay. So March,
I
what
mean,
is it? March 19th, 2025, bro.
20th at this point.
20th. It's 20th now. 9,
Rotate.
12. Okay, we have yeah, 18 guys. I just feel like, I don't think any of these guys aren't plus starters though. I think
Uh, I mean, I think we could safely put if we're gonna move someone, it would be Brock Purdy, in my opinion. I don't think
I,
anything that happened this year was necessarily his fault, but I think he had the worst year out of those guys. Maybe you could say Dak, but Dak's proven more than him.
yeah, I think I feel like this is good to be honest because yes, I understand that like if you look at wide receiver for example. Wide receiver there are so many guys like there are guys
But
that
wide
are
receiver, there's like 100 of them
I
that
know, but
start.
I'm saying it's still like oversaturated in terms of great players. Like there are guys that aren't top 10 at wide receiver that are like really really good. Like
I also just genuinely think wide receiver is just a deeper position than the quarterback position.
I know, but
The
I'm
QB's
saying
at its worst than it's been in the past like 20 years. Maybe not 20
wide
years, but you give
receiver
we're at a low point in QB depth in the league. Not peak play, but depth.
depth.
We don't. This is
Oh,
not a deep year in QBs.
bro.
It's a pretty polarizing year.
I feel like it's a pretty deep year. All of these guys right here are guys, But I don't know. I don't know. I feel like all these guys right here are guys. But yeah, I feel like everyone that's above here is a plus start already. You could even argue that Bo Nix is maybe a plus starter. But I think all these guys right here are plus starters right now. That's just me though.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't necessarily have to be weighted by how many guys there are in the league, but
Yeah, yeah,
I don't. We won't. I guess we won't take injuries into account, but I think the only guy I'd move is Brock Purdy.
yeah. Okay. We've ran for a while. We've talked for a while today. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys have any thoughts about the mock draft, moving some players down. If you want to move Brock Purdy down, let us know. If you're a Dak hater, you want to move him down, let us know. We will see you guys in the next one. Like, subscribe, do all the buttons. Check us out on the platforms. All the links are in the bio. Hoping to be more consistent. We will see you guys in the next one.